The Penguin is a new HBO TV series that has recently finished airing all of its 8 episodes, each being around 1 hour long. It is essentially a spin-off of the 2022 noir detective action crime thriller movie, The Batman. It's one of the best comic book live-action movie, and it's also just a great movie in general. But to be honest with you, I'm one of those people who don't really agree with the idea of The Batman having a continuation. Not that I don't want to, but let me explain. DC Studios CEO, both James Gunn and Peter Safran, are creating this universe off of DC characters and stories called DCU. Both the Batman and the Penguin, or all of the upcoming shows from Batman Epic Crime Saga, is labeled as Elseworld. It is separate from the main DCU story. So what does this mean? This means that DCU will have its own Batman in their universe. So what does that mean? That means there will come a time when there will be two Batman movies with two different actors coming out at around the same time. And I think that will cause a lot of confusion for a lot of people. What am I supposed to say if what they are putting out is this good, man? Because this show is spectacular. The story of the Penguin starts right after the ending of The Batman. The conflict of the show begins as Oz impulsively shoots Alberto Falcone, who is now the kingpin of Gotham. After he killed him, he carries Alberto's dead body to put in his car's trunk, but then he saw a couple of teenagers trying to steal his car's rims. And at that moment, we are introduced to Victor, who is, in my opinion, the heart of the story. He is one of the main characters, including Sophia, who I will talk about later. As Oz sees these teenagers trying to steal his rims, he fired several bullets at them, which caused all of them to run away except one kid, Victor. But then Oz did not end up killing him because Oz saw that Victor has a condition of speech impediment, and I think that made Oz sort of sympathize with him. After this incident, Victor becomes Oz's driver, and that is where the story truly begins. Victor starts as Oz's driver, but then later on he also becomes Oz's sidekick. Both of them start to develop a relationship, and they really start to become this dynamic duo, I guess. Victor here is a really great character and one of my favorites as well because he didn't really start off as a bad guy. It was Oz that is slowly corrupting him, and we get to see that being done seamlessly. I think he's always there besides Oz to provide a sense of balance to Oz's character, specifically his morals. Every time Oz is doing his job, he is always this cunning and ruthless person, and Victor's presence there helps to humanize Oz by showing a softer side of him. And I think seeing that chemistry between the both of them is so entertaining to watch. Like I said, he is a good guy that is slowly being corrupted because of the circumstances and environment that he's in. Plus, he is close with Oz, who is just an evil person. Because as the story goes on, Victor becomes entangled in the criminal underworld. He faces more dilemmas that would definitely challenge his integrity. Until eventually, Oz's influence took over him and he started making choices that he would have never considered at the beginning of the story. He becomes an active participant in Oz's schemes, losing a part of his humanity in the process. He also becomes the person that spends the most time with Oz, I think. So much so that by the end of the finale of the show, he calls Oz his family, and Oz's response to that isn't very family-like. Oz responds by choking Victor to death. In my opinion, Oz doing that is kind of a reminder to us, the viewers, that we are watching a villain origin story, and it's not one where they made us have to sympathize with the character. Oz, or the Penguin, is just evil. You are allowed to hate him. The writing in this show is so good. Not just how the story progresses from point A to point B, but also the character writing. There's no character and character decision that feels forced. Oz's character development to becoming this truly evil villain is very well thought out. It starts off by showing Oz killing a few people here and there. Then later on, it was revealed that Oz is the one who killed his own two brothers by leaving both of them in a sewer to death. And of course, by the last episode, Oz killed Victor, who has been nothing but loyal to him. Now I kind of want to talk about Sophia because she is amazing. She's actually one of the characters that I didn't personally like at first. Not that she's uninteresting or anything, her character just doesn't hook me instantly. This is of course until she gets her own episode. Sophia's episode tells us a lot about her past, why she used to be in Arkham Asylum. Us viewers and the people of Gotham believe that Sophia was the hangman, the person responsible for a series of murders of several women in Gotham. Turns out all of that crime were committed by her father, Carmine, not her. So she was just framed to protect Carmine's reputation so that he can maintain his control over Gotham's criminal underworld. The whole episode also showed us Sophia's transformation as a person to actually becoming this violent persona that Gotham had unjustly assigned to her. Because in Arkham, she experienced psychologically destroying abuse, like electroshock therapy and just physical abuse. And that episode is probably my favorite episode of the show. Well, it's a tie between that and the finale, to be fair. After Sophia finally got out of Arkham, she found out her brother went missing, and she found out he was killed. So she tries to find the culprit, and she also suspects Oz to be the one involved in it. Oz being Oz, he finds a way to convince Sophia that he wasn't the one who killed Alberto. But that didn't last long, because later in the show, Sophia did find out it was Oz all along that killed her brother. And from there, the show starts to develop this cat and mouse situation, which is awesome. I gotta say, there's a lot of talking in the show, but the dialogues are so engaging. Usually, shows like this tend to feel boring at times, but this show does not. It is also very well paced, I would say, and very well shot too, like the cinematography. This is the type of show that just keeps getting better and better every episode, and I can't help but be grateful about it because this show ended in a perfect way. Victor is dead, Sophia gets taken back to Arkham, and the Penguin solidifies his position as Gotham's preeminent crime lord. By the end, Penguin has his own penthouse, and we get to see him wearing that classic comic book Penguin costume, the tuxedo and the hat, which is nice. There, he dances with Eve, his girlfriend, who is dressed as his mother, because I forgot to mention, this guy has some really weird mother complex. The show ends as the camera slowly zooms out of Penguin's penthouse, showing the view of Gotham City at night, until eventually, at the very last second, a bat signal lights up, and I just couldn't ask for a more perfect conclusion for the Penguin story. I must say, all the actors in this show did an incredible job. Everyone is excellent. Colin Farrell, again, succeeds in elevating the Penguin to be such a sick and twisted, disgusting prick of a character. Lastly, I also need to mention, the soundtrack or score of the show is done by Mick Giacchino, the son of Michael Giacchino, who did the score for The Batman. And I think Mick also did a great job for the score of The Penguin. It is memorable, it is elaborate, and it has a similar essence to The Batman, which is perfect. But that is basically it for this video. I just finished the show a couple of days ago and I still haven't found any complaint or flaw that I could give. I'm still in so much awe by how amazing the show turned out to be, and I'm very happy about it. So yeah, until next time.